Hey, real quick here again, this is getting heated, but they're covering very few of these representatives on both sides are talking about the actual shutdown itself. Um, but back to the Democrat House member that just spoke, real quick. The government, she referred to the Republicans as shutting down food stamps illegally, shutting down airports illegally. They followed the law that actually the Democrats passed. This is craziness on both sides. But the Republicans did not shut down the airports. You cannot give money that's not appropriated by Congress to another department, and that's just a fact. So, and here I'm gonna chime in again. Here again, here's a Republican. He's talking about the auto pen. This is not what we're supposed to be talking about right now. We've got Democrats talking about Trump's Halloween party. We've got them launching allegations that are even written in law. Then we've got a Republican here talking about an auto pen. This is crazy. They both parties need to get on with this government shutdown topic. Okay, let's open the government. There's roughly about 10 minutes left in this debate process, I believe. Um, Gotta hear this guy. This is the crazy guy from Texas right here that got up during President Trump's speech earlier part of the year and started waving a cane at everybody. Okay, here's AOC. So hang on, put your seatbelt on, man. Get ready to go because she's gonna launch. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about with these 8 U.S. senators, Republican senators. If someone can give me some input on that, I need to do some research. What is it? I've read this thing. I don't understand what they're referring to with the 8 senators going to be millionaires. I'm only guessing because they may be physicians or doctors, or they may be interns, something. I don't know. And also this whole thing about ACA. Y'all need to really research and break into this. Thing. No, this is not about shutting down health insurance markets. It's about fixing them. And also this particular representative, Ro Khanna, man, he's livid. He's just livid against the 8 Democrats that voted, the 8 Democratic senators that voted to reopen the government. He is extremely upset with those 8. I want you to listen to what she's got to say right now. Listen to very carefully, very closely what she's saying. I think you have to be concerned both ways. What do you say? Trump is at 37%. I'm not sure what poll that is. I saw most of them around 41 to 43. But I also saw that the Democrat, who's you're seeing talking right now, the Democrat Party has about a 25%, 27% favorable rating around the country, about 31% among their own party members. So what I'm noticing right here is 435 members. The chamber's obviously not full right now. I believe when they did roll call at the beginning of this, there was 433. So it looks like there's been a tremendous amount of members that have left the House of Representatives floor at the moment, or the chamber, excuse me. If you're watching this and you are to the left of the aisle, if you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, you've got to be feeling pretty good about what your people are saying. The Republicans have been in offensive mode since January, well, since last year. This is the first time in 9 months that Democrats have actually shown any guts at all. Whether you agree with them or not, this is the very first time you've heard their voice. They've seemed a little feisty, so they're a little excited about some things. This is the first time they've been on a respirator for the last 9 months. So if you're a liberal, man, you've got to be feeling pretty good about the fight that your side is putting up. Hey, let me comment on that real quick. This is not going to make politicians rich by any means. If Let me tell you who is the wealthiest of the wealthiest from Obamacare and the ACA. It is the insurance companies. The insurance companies are making all the money on this. Hey, she's very informative. She's using facts. She's probably the only one of these speakers over the last hour that's literally just spoke nothing but facts. She's not spoke opinion. She's speaking facts. Now, both those districts you talked about, those are Democrat House members that are getting that 700,000 for their fire department, $1 million for the Navajo Nation. So that's a vote against all of that. This is This is a stall tactic by the Democrat from Massachusetts. They don't have enough votes to pull this. So very interesting. Very interesting. There was a lot of angry rhetoric on both sides, but definitely on the left. So what they're voting on right now, this is going to be probably one of several votes that we're going to see over the next hour or so. This is absolutely this vote here is really not relevant, but it's a strategy and a ploy to delay possibly the inevitable. I don't know. Again, we're going to see what takes place here, but this is a 15-minute vote. This is not a vote on HR 5371. It has nothing to do with the Senate passing the funding, the Clean CR a couple of nights ago. This is a vote to establish whether or not we move to the next process or not. And so it should pass by a couple of votes with the Republicans with just a very narrow lead. So step away for just a minute while you see the vote take place, okay? So just real quick, um, this is not a vote on HR 5371 to open the government. This is those silly question asked a few minutes ago by a just to move to the next process in this whole thing. And there was the Democrat House member from Massachusetts said, according to him, it sounded like there was as many nay votes as yay votes, and so he ordered a 15-minute individual electronic vote. So that is where we're at right now. As soon as they get through this little procedure right here, then they will dive into moving closer to taking an official vote to either reopen the government, side with the 60 senators that chose to reopen the government on Tuesday night. There were 52 Republican senators that voted to open the government. One, Rand Paul of Kentucky, voted to keep it closed. There were 8 Democrat senators that joined Republicans to get to the 60 threshold, to send this back to the House for an official vote to reopen the government. What the Republicans put together on Tuesday night to get those 8 Democrats on their side: one, all government employees that have been furloughed will receive back pay. Okay. Obviously, SNAP benefits will crank up here pretty quickly. There will be an immediate deposit into the air traffic controllers, their bank accounts. Also, there's an agreement to sometime next month, December, both sides would get together to try to hammer out this Obamacare, the ACA. And so that's a very, very sticky point right there. Both sides, the smarter parties on both sides, understand that the Obamacare is really, really jacked up. The ones that are really making money off of that is the insurance companies. The insurance company is getting billions and billions and billions of dollars from government subsidies. Now think about this. During COVID, some of those insurance policies were $200-$300, and now they're $600, $700, $800. Okay, and what's happening is, if an individual is paying a $200 or $300 a month premium, let's say the premium is $800, your cost is $200, $250. The government is giving the insurance company that additional $400, $500, $600 per person. Okay, this is where the sticking point is at. Should an insurance coverage cost $800 a month? No way. There's just no way. Prior to Obamacare, most insurance policies, and you could get a pretty good insurance policy through some of the bigger coverages, Blue Cross Blue Shield and Humana and companies like that, $350, $350, $400. That same policy is $800-$900 now. Okay, and so the government is subsidizing the difference between what you and I pay and what the insurance charges. And so what the Republicans are trying to do is they're trying to hold the insurance company responsible. They want the insurance companies to come clean. Like, where are you getting these premiums from? Like, what figures are you using to determine what this premium is? Okay. We've seen a lot of changes. President Trump has brought down the cost of a lot of forms of the pharmacy. Now, there's a long way to go. But there's just a lot of fraud and things that we don't know about as voters that the insurance companies have gotten away with for years, but especially really the last 5 or 6 years. And so it's not that the Republicans are trying to do away with the concept of Obamacare, okay? That every American has access to medical insurance, has access to pharmacies, okay? That's not, the Republicans aren't trying to shut that down. What they're saying is, it makes no sense that an insurance policy costs $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000. Okay, and if the citizens, if you and I are paying a portion of that, a couple $300 a month, the government is sending a check to Blue Cross Blue Shield, to Humana, these other insurance companies, for the difference. And so the insurance companies have now figured this out. they can just keep raising premiums. They can go from 600 a month to 700 a month, 800 a month to 900 a month. And no matter what, the government is going to keep cutting them big checks, no matter how high those premiums go. That's what you're not hearing from Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, man. They're not telling you that story. They're saying that the Republicans just want to shut everything down. That's not what it is. What the Republicans want is everyone to have access to the pharmacy, the medical insurance of your choice, okay? But just not where the premiums have gotten so high that you and I, our costs are getting higher, and then the government is also sending just billions of dollars in funding for this. So, but anyway, we're getting the clock's ticking down here. We'll get back live here in just a minute, okay? So you saw what just happened right here. They voted on this question.
This is a 5-minute vote.
You see how a 15-minute vote can take 30 minutes. And so once the yays reached a threshold, so you saw what just happened right here. It's crazy. So as soon as that passed the threshold, 216 to 213, the Democrat member from Massachusetts who called for the first vote because he didn't think he heard enough yays over nays, now we got that vote in. Now he's requested to confirm that by re-voting again. But this time the president of the chamber there has given them 5 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. So some gamesmanship going on here. I mean, we know what's inevitable. We're going to see a vote on 5371, continuing CR, which will open the government. So my understanding is, so Trump's waiting right now for this vote, and we're still a little bit a ways away from the vote. That's going to be interesting. That could play out for a while. But as soon as that vote, if it passes, now here again, it's if it passes, the Republicans have a maximum vote till 219. I think the Democrats are at it's 220 to 215, I believe, is where we're at the max. So the Republicans have to get pretty much everybody on board. They can only lose 2 votes. Remember, 218 is your majority. And so I'm curious to see if any Democrats in the House jump ship here. It'd be very interesting to see if they jump ship or if this thing just goes straight across party lines. You might have a Republican or 2. This makes this a nail biter. Really ultra conservative Republican. There's a group of 7. I think the bulk of them are gonna run with behind Johnson and run with Johnson, but you get 1 or 2 that, I don't know, show up. If this passes, and I don't know, anybody got some poly market numbers here? Can we see some poly market numbers? If this passes, Trump will have it on his desk within probably an hour or so, 45 minutes. It'll be rushed over, or he may come there. I don't know how that's going to play out, but he will sign this tonight. And then the government tomorrow. I think within 24 to 48 hours, air traffic controllers will see large deposits. Those that stayed on are going to see large deposits into their checking account. They're going to see, they'll see at least the first 30 days. And then I think that last week that they missed will come within 2 or 3 days after that. SNAP program will be fully funded by Friday. And so, but when you look at what the Democrats asked for to get to this vote where we're at today, the Republicans offered that exact same proposal to them just prior to the shutdown and then a few days after. It's all involving this ACA Obamacare. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk with no facts about it. You really, if you had a chance to listen to the House member from Minnesota that spoke multiple times within the last hour or so, she really has her facts lined up. And so, again, nobody is asking for a denial of medical insurance or access to medical insurance market. No one's advocating for that. I think what you're seeing from President Trump and the Republicans is they want to understand why the insurance companies are able to charge these insane premiums for basic coverage. Remember, whatever you pay out of pocket, that's not the cost of the premium. I'm going to give you an example here. So say the premium is $700 a month. Say Blue Cross is offering a $700 a month premium with a $5,000 family deductible or something like that. Your cost may be $250. 3 years ago, it was probably $125. But I think 250. It's probably about $350 now. But if they're charging $700, this means that you and I are paying the $350 out of pocket, and the United States government is cutting a check for the difference, another $350. Okay, per person, and multiply that by millions. So now you've got billions of government dollars that's just stacking bank accounts of the medical insurance companies. Okay. So what the president is trying to do is he wants to hold the insurance companies accountable. He is not trying to cut you and I off from access to medical insurance. He's not trying to cut babies from having respirators. He's not ventilators. He's not trying to keep someone from having access to cancer treatment. Of course not. But what we're trying to get to the bottom of is how are these insurance companies raising these premiums? And here's something else. Here's something else that no one talks about. There are hundreds of thousands of people like myself. I'll have an insurance policy, but I may not go to the doctor but once a year to get a physical. I'm not using the core. I'm protecting myself against maybe something catastrophic, but I'm paying this monthly premium. And then the government is, paying the rest of it, per se. But there's hundreds of thousands of insurance policy holders that don't use the policy. But the government is still paying the insurance company for that. That's something else that the president wants to investigate. You should be able to have an insurance policy that just kind of protects you when you need to go to the doctor. Okay? Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to have some more formalities. These guys and gals are going to stroll around and chit-chat with each other for a little bit. I am sure that whoever's represented the Democrats during this process, it's this gentleman out of Massachusetts, and I'm not sure what his name is, and shame on me for not knowing. But he is a House member from Massachusetts. He seems to be the spokesperson during this particular proceeding. I'm sure he will get with his members, and they're going to probably have another laundry list of things that they want to vote on. Okay, so we'll step away for just a minute while they figure out where they're going to go next, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay.
Garcia submitted her own paperwork.
Several of these things that are being put forth have zero to do
after the filing deadline
with opening the government. It's crazy that this is allowed. It is what it is.
Withdrawing his nominating petitions, whereas Representative Garcia's chief of staff was the only Democrat. Representative Garcia's
what she's talking about right now,
beneath the dignity,
it's irrelevant.
Office and
It's
incompatible
irrelevant
with the spirit of
to
the
anything that
Constitution.
has to do with HR 5371. It has nothing to
Be
do
resolved
with what the Senate did on
House of
Tuesday and what there's
Representatives
open the
of
government.
the behavior of the representative from Illinois, Mr. Garcia.
Open the government.
Under Rule 9, a resolution
I get her argument, but it's for another day.
As a question of the privileges of the House has immediate precedence only at a time designated by the chair within 2 legislative days after the resolution is properly noticed.
Maybe that's why she just threw it out there, because she wants it done with this week, but there are so many pressing matters for this body to take up. And the Democrat member from Washington got up and threw something out there that's got nothing to do with opening the government. Nothing to do with opening the government. You're going to see some of this, I think, play out for a little while.
The House will be in order.
Somebody wants to get something on the agenda. Somebody wants their voters to hear.
Members are instructed to clear the well.
Hear they're in their district that they proposed this, that they did that. This has nothing to do with what's going on right now. It's very confusing, actually.
The House will be in order and members will clear the well. For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition?
Oh, this must be Garcia.
Pursuant to House
Oh, never mind.
I'm sorry.
This is the conservative. This is Republican, I believe, from Illinois. Which there's not very many of those left. The way that Illinois keeps redistricting.
Will the gentleman find a microphone and repeat his request?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask unanimous consent to address the body. The will.
I recognize for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank
Recognized.
I'd like to thank the Honorable Luke.
The House will be in order. The well will be cleared. All members will clear the well.
I have no idea what that means. I think they're down among the administrative, the bookkeepers down there, the clerks.
The bill H.R. 5371, the Continuing Appropriations, Agriculture, Legislative Branch, Military Construction, and Veterans Affairs and Extensions Act 2026, with the Senate amendment thereto, and I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the title of the bill, designate the Senate amendment, and designate the motion.
H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes. Senate amendment. Mr. Cole of Oklahoma moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment to H.R. 5371.
Okay.
Pursuant to House Resolution 873, the motion shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on
So I think they're going to argue more.
Designees. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole.
So for the next hour, they're going to be debates.
Each will control 30 minutes.
And
the chair now recognizes
more
the
personal,
more
personal attacks on each other. So we got about an hour left. There are going to be some more things thrown out.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the measure under consideration.
Without objection, so ordered. The House will be in order. All members are instructed to take their conversations outside.
And so here's another thing that just drives me crazy. There's a whole lot of chit-chat on the left side over here I'm seeing. So on the left side, there's a whole pool of Democrat House members.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
And there's a big conversation going on between them.
As I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I rise today in support of the continuing Appropriations, Agriculture, Legislative Branch, Military Construction and Veterans Affairs, and Extension Act of 2026. History reminds us, Mr. Speaker, that shutdowns never change the outcome. They only cost is paid by the American people. Over the last 43 days, the facts did not shift, the votes required did not shift, the path forward did not change. The only thing that did move was the level of pain Democrats inflicted on the nation. For 6 long weeks, Americans have paid the price for a shutdown they neither caused nor deserved. The pain has been all too real for far too many Americans, including families struggling
day
without
one,
paychecks, seniors
up to day was at 43 now. The Democrats caved on Tuesday, and nothing was gained. Not a single thing was gained by shutting the government down for 7 weeks, 6 weeks.
Those who served our nation, past and present. Our military families were left wondering if they would be paid. Thanks to President Trump, they were.
And that was because a private citizen deposited $130 million into the U.S. Treasury to pay those soldiers that first paycheck that they were going to miss.
Democrats have inflicted on the country. This bill supports our troops. It pays federal workers. It fully funds SNAP benefits until September 30th of next year. It compensates our air traffic controllers right before.
So by opening the government, if this resolution passes, SNAP benefits will be guaranteed until September 30th of 2026. So whoever votes for this bill, this resolution tonight, is voting, number one, to continue SNAP benefits for almost a year. Pay air traffic controllers, get the airplanes back up and running. A lot of delays. That stuff's going to take another 5 to 7 days to clear up. If you vote yes tonight, you're voting to open SNAP, to pay SNAP. You're voting to open the government, to pay the military, to pay air traffic controllers, school projects, water projects, hospital projects.
Military construction needs will be met.
Correct. All these things are being held hostage at the moment.
Programs for our nation's veterans. The legislative branch will be properly resourced, including critical funding enhancements for the Capitol Police and for member security.
Whether you're left or whether you're right, I mean, what's taken place the last 6 weeks is insane. And Chuck Schumer is getting beat down over this. Listen, Chuck Schumer is in so much trouble with his own party. Like, he is going to, he will not run again. He'll retire before he does. That's a seat that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will probably hold
This was a top priority for the Appropriations
2 to 4 years from now.
We achieved it while holding overall spending levels in check. It's responsible appropriations progress like this that causes me to reflect on an important message to our friends in the Democratic leadership. My sincere apologies to Minority Leaders Jeffries and Schumer, but after today, you will no longer get to hold the government hostage, and you will not get to force a rushed, pork-filled Christmas omnibus at the end of the year. Republicans have actively restored a responsible line-by-line process. Over the next few months, we will continue this work and efforts through regular order. This Article 1 advancement is an accomplishment that every member of this chamber can be proud of, regardless of party. Yet some still need to decide what they stand for today. So to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, do you want the leverage or do you want to legislate? Do you treat Americans as collateral damage or as constituents? And do you answer to your caucus or your country? For Republicans, the answer has been clear for the last 43 days. We have and we will continue to put Americans first. Democrats can join us. They have an opportunity to make the responsible choice to reopen our government and pass 3 official full-year appropriations bills. 8 Senate Democrats saw reason and did exactly that. I hope House Democrats do the same. True courage is taking responsible action for the nation, even when politics makes it inconvenient. Let's reopen the government and get back to work. With that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House is not in order. Thank you.
House will be in order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself 7 minutes.
Gentlelady is recognized.
I rise in opposition to this bill that does nothing, not one thing, to address the Republican health care crisis amid a cost of living crisis. More than 20 million Americans will have to pay double, even triple their monthly insurance premiums in just a matter of weeks. And this bill leaves families without even a glimmer of hope that their costs might go down. Energy prices are up, grocery prices are up, housing costs are up. When 2/3 of American workers are living paycheck to paycheck, you can understand why the most important issue on their minds is affordability. What does President Trump say? And I quote, "Affordability is a con job," end quote. How out of touch can you be? Mr. President, start to listen to the American people, not your millionaire, billionaire friends. President Trump and my Republican colleagues refuse to address this issue. They continue to avoid it. They were so intent on avoiding it that they shut down the government instead of dealing with it. Speaker Johnson has indicated that he will not deal with it. He has shown no interest in holding a vote on extending the health care subsidies, which would prevent monthly costs from soaring. Republicans have tried to say they will deal with this problem their own way, but they have no plan. They are trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act, as they have been trying to do unsuccessfully for 15 years. However, they are poised to succeed, which is why it is so important for this continuing resolution to fail. President Trump and Republicans, their plan is to drive up prices for everybody, compounding the cost of living crisis. More than 2 million Americans are expected to lose their health insurance next year because it has simply become too expensive. There are more than 50 pages of health care provisions in this bill. Not one of them stops costs from skyrocketing at the beginning of next year. Not one of them offers relief to American families being squeezed tighter and tighter by the Republican crisis. There is one group of people, however, who will receive some relief thanks to this bill. United States senators who may have participated in an insurrection snuck into this bill at the 11th hour by Senate Republicans is a provision to pay out at least $1 million each to 8 United States senators implicated in the January 6th insurrection. Understand, this is a corrupt precedent. This is where members can profit from their own votes. It's the fleecing of the American people, which they get and understand. At the same time, this bill excludes a provision that will order a plaque to be hung that honors the police officers who put their lives on the line to defend our democracy from that same insurrection. What a contrast. It is yet another instance of this administration's shameless corruption that is financially ruining American families. While there is $230 million for the president to pay himself from the Department of Justice, $8 million for some of his closest Senate allies, $200 million for a pair of private jets for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, $40 billion to Argentina, the American people are left with nothing but higher costs. This bill also fails to fully cover the Toxic Exposure Fund, which was created to support veterans exposed to burn pits and Agent Orange. We made a promise to stand by the men and women who served our country in uniform. This bill does not live up to that promise. You know, Republicans need to stop taking photographs with veterans and then vote against their health care. Those who lead in the appropriations process here believe in the constitutional power of the purse. And over the past month, President Trump has been firing federal workers en masse. And when his administration has failed there, they have made life so miserable for federal workers that they have no choice but to leave. Federal workers should be, and I quote, traumatically to use it. Imagine
Listen, what she's saying right now
food as a political weapon.
is not true on any level. And I'm not just attacking her because she's on the left or whatever. She talks about the Republicans have the money. They give us the money. It's not allocated. This same representative was so upset a few weeks ago because she wanted to not pay. She wanted money paid to a cause of hers that was allocated to that cause, and it got stopped by the president. When the president was notified, hey, you can't hold those funds up, you got to pay them out, he did. But she's not telling the truth. The government, the administration cannot take money, say, out of
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to our
an oil and gas fund for us. They can't take, say, money from the military to pay SNAP. They can't take money from SNAP to pay for a road or a bridge to be repaired. They can't do
Chairman
that.
of the Appropriations, Mr. Cole from Oklahoma, for not only yielding, but for bringing this important bill to the floor. Our appropriators worked tirelessly to negotiate a multi-bill package that is part of this bill to reopen the government. And we never should have been here, Mr. Speaker. We tried as Republicans over a month ago to prevent a government shutdown. We had a vote here on the House floor. 99% of Republicans voted to keep the government open, and 99% of Democrats voted to shut it down. And then that bill went over to the Senate, and we watched for 42 days, where time and time again, Democrats, just to appease their most radical base, continued to vote in unison to shut the government down. And during that shutdown, we saw millions of families experience pain, Mr. Speaker. Pain and suffering that Democrats themselves acknowledged that they imposed on the American people. But they said over and over again, we have quote after quote from Democrats during the shutdown, that they needed to impose the suffering to get leverage, Mr. Speaker, to use the American people as pawns to get leverage. For what? For what? They ultimately filed an alternative bill, $1.5 trillion mad spending spree that included things like $200 billion of taxpayer funding for illegals to get taxpayer benefits, while they gutted the $50 billion rural health care fund that we put in place in the Working Families Tax Cut. So, Mr. Speaker, anybody who comes up here and says they care about health care, they were also advocating to gut the $50 billion rural health care fund to provide $200 billion in taxpayer-funded health care benefits for illegals. It's insanity. And if you really want to look at where this all began, as some on the other side, Democrats, want to talk about a healthcare crisis, the healthcare law of the land is what many refer to as Obamacare. But let's remember the original name that Democrats gave that bill when they created it. They called it the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act. Only Democrats voted for it. Republicans knew it was going to be anything but affordable. It was going to interfere with the doctor-patient relationship. And unfortunately, it's done that. But if you want to talk about affordable, and maybe the only other bill that's more laughable in its name is the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, that's another product brought to you by Democrat-only votes. The Inflation Reduction Act, which ushered in the inflation under Joe Biden that we're still trying to shake today. But the Affordable Care Act, Mr. Speaker, since it started, Americans have seen over 80% increases in their health care costs because of a Democrat-created bill that they want to now blame on Republicans. I understand why they would want to try to now pawn that off on somebody else. But then if you look over time, during COVID, they created a temporary relief fund, not to individuals, Mr. Speaker, but to insurance companies. Democrats created a temporary, they called it temporary in the law, temporary COVID relief tax credit to insurance companies, to bail out big insurance companies who are seeing record profits, and that's now what they want Republicans to renew. A insurance company bailout that Democrats created to be temporary. They set it up to expire. And now they're saying that the world's going to end if that insurance company bailout doesn't get renewed. While at the same time, when we as Republicans work to actually lower premiums for families, they fought it every step of the way. That's right. We had a bill that we passed through this House just a few months ago in the Working Families Tax Credit. Part of that bill was called the cost share reduction, was scored by the CBO to lower premiums for families by over 12%. And what happened? It gets over, and by the way, every Democrat voted against that too, because they've never cared about lowering premiums. Then that bill gets over to the Senate. Senate Democrats worked overtime to get that provision removed. And if you go look at Senate Democrat Budget Committee website, they still brag that they removed that provision that would have lowered premiums for families. So, absolutely, Republicans have worked and will continue, by the way, to work to lower premiums for families. But make no mistake, the high premiums that everybody faces today are a result of the inaptly named Affordable Care Act and the many failures associated with it. But this bill today is about ending the misery Democrats created on families. That is just about funding the government, not about solving other problems that we should be working to solve, but about getting the government back open while not holding the American people hostage. And that, Mr. Speaker, is what has disgusted the American people most during the shutdown. That should have never happened, but it's that it has caused real suffering for American families. Our men and women in uniform that had to wonder whether or not they're going to get paid. Air traffic controllers who already had a highly stressful job and then had to show up for work without getting paid. Multiple paychecks missed. Now you're seeing, because a lot of those air traffic controllers have to go work jobs as Uber drivers. They aren't even being able to show up for work because they still have bills due. Their rent's due. They're trying to put food on their table, and Democrats want to vote no tonight to keep denying them food. The 42 million SNAP recipients, those people that are low income that need those food benefits, if you vote no today, you are voting to deny those 42 million low income families basic food needs. Don't talk about how much you care about low income people and vote no tonight to deny them food, basic services, basic things that American families need who shouldn't be part of the leverage Democrats want to show their radical base that they're fighting Donald Trump because they're upset with the results of the election from November. It is time to end this madness, Mr. Speaker. Let's get this government back open. Let's go negotiate our differences, which are many, but let's do it while not continuing to hold the American people hostage. I urge my Democrat colleagues who have voted relentlessly to shut this government down and impose this suffering on the American people to stop. Stop imposing the suffering. Let's open the government. Let's get back to the work of the American people. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Louisiana yields back. Does the gentleman from Oklahoma reserve?
I do, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
I remind the majority leader that a 60-year-old couple earning $82,800 per year, annual premiums will rise by over $17,000, a 255% increase.
Now listen, what she's saying is probably true, but it's got nothing to do with the administration. It's the insurance companies are in the back pocket of Chuck Schumer. I'm telling you, this is a Republican Democrat issue. But these premiums going through the roof have zero to do with the President of the United States, the current president. They have got, the Congress has to address the amount of money that the insurance companies are charging as a premium. The only reason the premiums go up is because Obamacare guarantees 1,000% that the U.S. Treasury, the U.S. government, will pay the difference between the premium that you and I pay and the insurance company charges. The difference is guaranteed to be paid by the government. That's where the problem is at.
Our Republican colleagues could have corrected this in the Rules Committee, but they rejected an amendment last night that would have lowered health premium costs.
He is not being honest about that. That is, it's not that simple. But that's not true.
As a Christian, I'm outraged that USDA used the shutdown to illegally withhold SNAP from 42 million Americans. USDA had the chance to do the right thing and use designated contingency funds, but rejected it. And when ordered to do so by the courts, they fought all the way to the Supreme Court to keep hungry families from receiving food. America produces the highest quality, safest, most affordable, and abundant food, fiber, and medicine anywhere in the world. To that end, this bill provides many welcome investments. It fully funds SNAP and WIC, replenishes the SNAP and WIC contingency funds, and fully funds cash value vouchers for fruits and vegetables for women and children. It also helps rural America by providing $1 billion in single-family direct home loans, $120 million over the House level.
I'm not sure what bill he's referring to. He didn't specify.
Democrats tried to address before committee. The bill provides $1.8 billion for the Agricultural Research Service.
No, he's talking about the $1.5 trillion that was added to what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem put forth. And I say Hakeem, he's part of the House. This is really a Senate issue, but what he's giving a list is a bunch of added things that were not in the bill that passed on July 4th.
The bill discards many of the harmful policy riders, which in the House bill, yet it does not go far enough to negate House language falsely questioning the safety of mifepristone and encouraging FDA to explore liability protection for certain.
I'm going to tell you right now, he's listing these things
over which the agency has absolutely no jurisdiction.
that this $1.5 trillion package that Schumer and the Democrats proposed to the Republicans to reopen the government to the president. This is why the Republicans were like, we will vote for a clean CR. That's no additives, okay? But I guarantee he's not going to talk about the money in that 1.5 trillion. He's not going to talk about the money. $500 million going to NPR. Okay. He's not going to talk about the millions of dollars that they wanted to reinstate to go to programs in Africa, circumcision programs, transgender programs in Pacific Rim countries like Indonesia, Thailand. He's not going to leave that list. So he's not being genuine right now. It's unbelievable.
January 6th investigation. It's a bad bill.
Now here he's talking about the Jan 6 investigation. A little while ago, someone was talking about the president's Halloween party. It's got nothing to do with opening the government. This is crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I recognize yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, distinguished gentleman from Texas and distinguished chairman of the Military Construction and Veterans Subcommittee, the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Carter.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 2 minutes.
Now remember, this is the House of Representatives. Everything that you're seeing going on right now, this is the 435 member body of the United States House of Representatives. The Senate is now out of the picture.
I rise in support of H.R. 5371 and look forward to reopening the government. The shutdown has gone on long enough. It's time to end it. Yesterday was Veterans Day. It's a timely reminder of the commitment our armed forces personnel have made and the responsibility that we have to take care of those who serve our nation. Military Construction and Veteran Affairs component of the legislation meets that goal. The legislation includes $133.3 billion for the Department of Veterans Affairs, including $113.8 billion for.
I'm not sure why he's bringing all this stuff up. This is all a part of the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill that was passed on July 4th.
Critical funding for Medicare.
All these things that he's listing here are already in the bill. I need to explain to you that, again, this is a clean CR, and so nothing is being added. Nothing should be added. Nothing should be removed. Okay. What caused the shutdown was when the government ran out of money to move the government forward back on October 26th. What Chuck Schumer and the Democrat leadership proposed is to reopen the government for them to vote to open the government. They added $1.5 trillion in new spending that had been cut out back in July. Okay. What this gentleman here is doing, and he's listing some very admirable programs, but he's talking about things that are already in the bill. So God bless him, but he's not saying anything new or really anything relevant, to be honest with you.
Armed Forces Retirement Home and Operations of Arlington Cemetery. I want to thank Mr. Cole for his endless work.
He's very passionate about the military. I can see that, or veterans. But again, it's his what he's saying is not relevant to opening the government back up.
The gentleman reserves, the gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Uh-oh, who we got? Here we got this woman, something else. I watched her last night. She's something else. She's crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentlewoman for yielding. I rise to oppose this.
Florida, Wasserman, out of Florida. She's been down there for a long time. I think over 20 years.
This legislation guarantees only two things.
At one point, she was this Debbie Wasserman was an up-and-coming rising star in the Democrat Party, and she sort of just became irrelevant.
On Americans' access to quality, affordable health care. Remember, Mr. Speaker, Republicans already slashed $1 trillion for Medicaid, $500 billion for Medicare, and
fraudulent cuts.
In medical research.
Fraudulent
With this
cuts.
Bill, Republicans dump massive healthcare price hikes on struggling Americans. Millions will be priced out of any coverage at all, which will drive coverage costs up and health services down for all of us.
I agree with her,
It's a health
but it's
budget
because
nightmare
the
for America's
insurance
families,
companies
and
are
it's
pricing
slush fund
you,
lobby win for 8
you,
Republican senators.
and I.
Because the one
The
thing
insurance
we can all
companies
agree
are
on,
pressing us
that's
out
Jeffrey
of
Epstein's best
insurance.
friend in the White House,
It's not
is that the cost of living is
the president of the United
astronomical.
States.
Rent, home insurance, and electric
The,
bills are all
the
soaring,
hospitals
cost of
and the
meat,
insurance
coffee, and
companies
vegetables just keep
are in
climbing.
bed
People
together.
are
They're
really
in a
struggling to
deep
get
bed
by.
together.
Yet Donald Trump continues to block SNAP benefits to 42 million struggling seniors, patients, and veterans. How anyone could swipe food from the plates of nearly 20 million children like that is simply disgusting.
Yeah.
But that same moral bankruptcy is embedded in this bill. This bill unleashes huge health insurance hikes.
So remember what this bill does do? Well, excuse me. If they pass this tonight, SNAP
the impact of
benefits
the big ugly law
is
and
protected
soaring ACA
until
prices.
September 30th of
Worse,
2026.
This bill also reneges on our commitment to veterans. As the ranking member of the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Appropriations Subcommittee, I take our promises to veterans personally and seriously. Just this summer, I secured bipartisan support for my amendment to restore $51.7 billion in advance funding for the Toxic Exposures Fund. This is funding, mind you, that President Trump sought in his budget. Yet as Republicans slipped a slush fund for senators into this bill, they gutted a critical funding protection for veterans. Just so we're all clear, average Americans will see their kitchen table budget blow up from the health coverage price hikes, and veterans will see their future healthcare funding for toxic exposures put in jeopardy. All so billionaires can keep getting huge tax breaks. It's hard to pick between the worst moral outrages behind this bill.
I'm curious as to why, when you talk about billionaires, there's always attack on billionaires. The bulk of billionaires are not conservatives. If you took the Forbes list of billionaires in this country, Democrats outnumber Republicans when it comes to billionaires. Someone do some research for me and leave that comment on that. I'd like to see what those numbers are. Because the Democrats have, I think they have the bulk of the billionaires, of the billionaire club. When you take Tech Valley, man, the billionaires in New York, Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, bulk of them billionaires, man, are liberals.
Agriculture Subcommittee and the Committee on Appropriation, Dr. Harris of Maryland.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of Senate amendment to H.R. 5371, which will finally put an end to the Democrat-led government shutdown. Millions of Americans have suffered because they refuse to reopen the government, harming those who depend on SNAP benefits, federal workers, Border Patrol agents, and our troops who are uncertain about their next paycheck. This legislation extends government funding to the end of January 2026, thereby blocking attempts to force a budget-busting omnibus at the last minute before Christmas. It also includes the FY 2026 Agriculture, Rural Development, and Food and Drug Administration Appropriations Act. Republicans have effectively locked in disciplined, flat spending levels while supporting the Trump administration's policy priorities. The agriculture bill provides $26.65 billion in discretionary spending, which is level with the current amounts while also including community project funding. This bill provides critical funding support to America's farmers, ranchers, and rural communities. It ensures both USDA and FDA can safeguard our nation's food and drug supply and fully funds nutrition programs, including SNAP and WIC. Additionally, the bill closes the hemp loophole that has resulted in the spread of unregulated, intoxicating hemp-derived products.
I'm wondering if
and in gas stations and
they
corner
keep
stores
referring to
across
an
the country.
amendment to
Many of these
53.
products are accessible and attractive to
71.
children,
I'm gonna check
resulting
and
in
see.
thousands of calls to U.S. poison control centers, with more than 30% involving children aged 5 years and younger. This provision is supported by 39 states' attorney general and over 81 national and state public health, medical, law enforcement, and other organizations. It's beyond disappointing that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle will soon be voting to continue the chaos and uncertainty of a government shutdown. But this is what responsible Republican government looks like. We stared down the radical Democrats' outrageous budget-busting demands and held the line for hardworking American taxpayers. I want to thank Appropriations Chairman Cole for his leadership, strongly encourage my colleagues to support this legislation. Mr. Chair, I yield back time.
Gentleman from Maryland yields back. Does the gentleman from Oklahoma reserve? The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished ranking member of the Legislative Branch Subcommittee, Mr. Espaillat.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong opposition to the Senate's amendment to H.R. 5371 because once again, the Senate has put other interests ahead of those of the American people. Today's backroom deal does nothing to stop 20 million Americans that will see their health care premiums double or triple. And it does absolutely nothing to stop provisions in the reconciliation package that will strip 15 million people of the Medicaid coverage. These cuts will have a resounding impact on
I believe
individuals
so.
and
If you
healthcare
look at the
industry
cuts that are being
and economy
proposed,
as a whole.
it's
Safety
the
net
same as in
hospitals like
July.
Mount
It's
Fury in my district.
pretty much men 25 to 49 that aren't working that can work, and then also the removal of non-U.S. citizens from that Medicaid, those Medicaid payments.
Cannot afford to lose health care coverage. On top of that, Mr. Speaker, the legislative branch bill, which was done unilaterally, not with the consultation of both sides, it was done on its own, in the Senate, in the dark, in cahoots with a bunch of people, includes a provision that will line the pockets of 8 senators that we know of by allowing them to sue
I want to
the
see what that's
government for
about.
millions
This
of
is something
dollars
new.
if
This
the
has just come
Department
up in
of
the
Justice
last few hours. I'm
subpoenas
curious
their
what
phone records
that is, what they're
or
referring to.
seeks a lawful
So I
practice
get some
of
information on that for you
While
guys.
families in my district are stretching every single dollar just to pay for food and rent, senators want a personal payout if law enforcement dares to hold them accountable. At every turn of this shutdown and fight for healthcare access, Republicans and the Trump administration have tried to inflict suffering as much as possible. For weeks, the administration held food stamps hostage. And even when some states comply with a court ruling to release full benefits, the president demanded that they be clawed back. Even when governors stepped up and said, we don't want people to go hungry, they ran to court, Mr. Speaker, to take $6.20 away from poor people. Who does that? Explain that to me. Who takes $6.20 away from a single mom?
I have no idea what he's
That's
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Unbelievable.
$6.23 away from somebody that's
I will
poor.
be casting my vote
Don't know.
as a no. In fact, it will be a hell no.
Remember, a no tonight is going to would keep the government
Gentleman from
closed.
New York,
It
yields
would
back. The gentlelady from
SNAP
Kentucky
benefits. The
reserves.
Supreme Court has
Gentleman from
ruled that SNAP
Oklahoma is
benefits.
breaking
And by the way, it was a liberal Supreme Court justice that stayed, stopped the government from issuing those SNAP payments from another fund.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. And God, I love the compassion and the passion on the other side of the aisle. You know, we're worried about taking money out of families. Well, you know what? Y'all can do the right thing and vote yes. If not, you're the ones that are taking money from needy families, not us, because yes means yes, we want to feed the families. We want to have SNAP programs. No means we don't fund those programs. See how simple that is? But keep on with the rhetoric. I mean, it's cute, but the American people don't buy it. So, I mean, listen, for the past 40 days, Democrats have inflicted needless pain on hardworking Americans. They stranded millions of travelers. They denied food assistance for hungry families. And how did they do that? When you vote no to continue funding, that means you deny food stamps for hungry families. No means no, you don't want to pay them. Yes, like the Republicans vote, that means yes, we do want to pay them. So, you know, they left our troops wondering when they'd get their next paycheck. And for what, Mr. Speaker? To use the American people as leverage. Don't take my word for it, take theirs. Leverage for more wasteful Washington spending. Spending that no one other than the radical left ever wanted. And to remind the American people, they wanted $1.5 trillion of their hard-earned tax dollars. But what did they get in return? They got nothing. They got nothing because Republicans refused to waste the American people's money. Not a dime for the radical climate change, not a dollar for tax-funded benefits for illegals, and not one single concession to their radical far-left base. Millions of Americans whose lives were upended by the Democratic shutdown
Gentlelady's time has
will
expired.
remember this.
Yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Gentlelady is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Thank you. The American people will remember who held them hostage for petty political reasons and who fought to put America first. So now that this shameful charade is over, House Republicans will continue our work on behalf of the American people. We will restore regular order to the appropriations process. We will continue to fulfill the mandate of the American people, and we will keep delivering results for American people, because that's what we're here to do for, not to play politics. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield. Thank you.
Gentlelady from
Hey, just a note real quick. So listen, the claim that 8 Republican senators would receive $1 million each if H.R. 5371 was passed is false. This is according to ChatGPT, okay? The story indicates the bill passed the Senate on November 10th, 2025, and now moves to the House. But the story circulating refers to a potential for certain senators to receive $500,000 for a January 6th probe, not a purse payment of $1 million. The payment allegation. The story that you are likely referring to is mentioned in several news summaries. It's that the legislation would allow a group of 8 Democrat, not Republican senators who voted for the bill to seek up to $500,000 in funding for a specific purpose related to January 6th. This has got nothing to do with Republican senators getting $1 million. This is crazy.
Chair of the Appropriations Committee, and thank
Look at
you
Nancy
for your
Pelosi.
patience
She's back
and
for
your
one
kind
more
words.
round, huh?
I take heed, Mr. Speaker, of your comment.
The primary purpose
to
for
address my
tonight's
thoughts
vote
to you and not to your colleagues.
is a
So I
short-term
can say to you
funding
and
to
you can
avert
tell
an
them
ongoing
that they
government
don't know what
shutdown,
you're talking about, or they don't
the
care
longest in U.S.
about
history,
meeting
and
the needs of the American
this would extend various programs such as
Do they-
Medicare
did any one of
telehealth
them
flexibility.
vote? Did any one of them
It would
vote to
fund
have
SNAP through
eliminate
September of
the existing condition
2026.
in healthcare?
Okay?
Not one of them.
The one thing
Did
it doesn't
any one of
do
them
is it
vote
does
to
not
say
address an
that
extension of the
children
Affordable
26
Care
until
Act
the
subsidies,
26th
which
year old,
expired
they
December
have access
31st.
to your policy? Not one of them. Did
Again,
any
that
of
is
them
that
vote
is a
to
it's a
eliminate
scam between the insurance
a
companies and the
woman
hospitals,
with a
guys.
pre-existing medical condition?
But
Not
this
one
whole
of
$1 million
them is
for 8
still
senators,
any one of them vote for the Affordable
there's
Care Act,
nothing,
which
nothing
Mr. Speaker,
online. There's
you
nothing
can
in the
tell them was
algorithms. There's
paid
nothing in
for. Was
ChatGPT
paid for.
that validates
And
that
later,
story, guys.
when we
That's
decided
insane to me that
we
these guys are
expanded
talking
tax
about that.
credits further
It's just
so
simply
more
not
people
true.
And could have more access to care. Did anyone vote for that? No. So all they have done is try to eliminate access to health care in our country. The public is catching on to them. You might tell them if a woman is born with a child that has a heart condition, she's out of luck with what they are proposing.
That's
If
not
a
true.
father gets a stroke, forget about it.
It's not true.
If you have a
That is
sibling
so-
with a disability,
Wow.
they don't care. And if you have your wife has breast cancer, you've got big bills to pay because they want to take away health care, whether it's Medicaid to tens of millions of people, $500 billion from Medicare for seniors and people with disabilities, millions of dollars added to the cost for families for access to the Affordable Care Act. The list goes on and on. Either they don't know or they don't care. I'll say one more thing as a grandmother and mother. How about the President of the United States on Halloween night having a Halloween party?
Gentlelady's
A
time.
Halloween
Here we go
party
again.
and
A
saying
Halloween party
to
by the
Supreme
president.
Court, please don't make
Guys, what is this
feed
story
the
about?
children or the poor people in
The
our
president
country.
having a
Going to the
Halloween
Supreme Court
party.
for that. That means cruelty is not even.
Did you see all the kids that were at the Halloween party that he threw in the White House? What does that got to do with opening the
Gentlelady from
government?
California yields back. The
Here
gentlelady
again,
from
this
Texas
is the
reserves.
same
The
argument
gentleman from
over and
Oklahoma
over and
is
over
Thank you,
again.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good
You would
friend,
think
Senator
after the
Joe
drubbing that they
from
took
West
last
Virginia,
November, they
member
would
of the
focus on
Legislative
issues
Subcommittee of
and not
Appropriations, Mr. Moore.
The gentleman from
these
West
silly
Virginia is
things. It's
recognized for
crazy.
2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to support the Senate amendment to H.R. 5371, which includes full funding for the legislative branch. I'm honored to serve as the vice chairman of the legislative branch subcommittee, and I'm grateful to Chairman Valadeo for his leadership on that committee. It has been a long road to bring this bill to the floor, a road that was made significantly longer by totally unnecessary Schumer shutdown that we've been living in. The bill before us not only reopens the entire government, but ensures that the House and its supporting agencies remain working for the American people. The bill invests in safety and security. It increases funding for the Capitol Police, provides support for security programs through the House Sergeant at Arms, and is tough on foreign adversaries, including language I wrote, preventing the purchase of technology tied to the Chinese Communist Party. I want to thank Chairman Cole for his leadership and Ranking Member
not sure what
and our subcommittee
they're talking
members
about
and their
right
staff
now.
and our staff and their work. And I urge
So
my
apparently
colleagues to vote yes.
HR
Yield back.
5371,
West Virginia,
I thought it was a clean CR, right?
Oklahoma Reserves.
So I'm not sure what
gentleman from
these,
Connecticut
if they're just reiterating some things that are in the big beautiful bill.
To the gentlewoman from Ohio, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Water Subcommittee, Ms. Captain.
Trying to understand these, or they're just talking about things that are in the current bill.
I thank the ranking member for yielding, Congresswoman DeLauro. Congress today should vote for affordable health insurance for Americans and reduce its rising costs.
Agreed.
Instead,
But what you got to do
at the dead of
is you
night,
have to go
8
after the
Senate
hospitals and
Republicans
insurance
slipped into
companies
this bill of
that
payola
have our
for
premiums
themselves,
going through
literally
the
raking millions
roof.
of dollars to themselves. This payola is called corruption.
Yeah, I agree.
Corruption. Millions of taxpayer
But I want to hear what
dollars
who's she
now are slated for
referring
Senators
to.
Graham, Haggerty, Hawley, Sullivan, Tuberville, Johnson, Loomis, and Blackburn. Each is teed up to personally rake in a minimum of $500,000 up to $1.5 million.
Guys, she's
Meanwhile, the
telling a
American people
bald-faced lie. I just read it. I literally just read what this was about. Guys, chat GPT it, okay? Seriously. Put it in Gronk. Gronk it or chat GPT it, okay?
And no payoffs to U.S. senators.
This does not go
This
to
is
them
what happens when power
individually. This
serves
is
itself instead of the
unbelievable that she's
people.
able to say
This isn't
this.
leadership.
Wow.
It's corruption disguised as legislation. Will the general yield me 10 seconds?
It's the problem.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Her glass of wine hadn't
Let's
kicked in
cleanse
yet.
America of
gentleman's time has
disgusting
expired.
corruption. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
This is unbelievable. This is so
Gentleman
why
from
we've
Connecticut
all
Reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma
lost
is recognized.
faith somewhat
Thank you
in
very much,
Congress.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, distinguished member from Washington and distinguished member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Newhouse.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, for yielding the time. Mr. Speaker, over 40 days after the Senate Democrats shut down the federal government, we are finally reopening. The result of the shutdown has been thousands of employee furloughs, major disruptions to our air travel, service members going without pay.
The good news
delayed food
is
assistance
those,
for
I'm
low-income
almost
individuals
positive
and
those
families,
furloughed employees are going to be
much
brought back. I don't know what
Mr.
their
Speaker,
pay
as a
is going to
member of
look
the House
like, but I know that
Appropriations Committee, the
back pay
responsibility
is going to be
of funding the
issued
federal
to
is
government.
one that I take very
I think the
seriously,
president was also
especially
talking about giving
in
a
light
very
of our nation's
thick,
debt
fat bonus to the
surpassing
air traffic controllers that
$18
did show up every day without pay.
Formative tactics that we have watched over the last 7 weeks have truly been a disservice to Americans. And my friends across the aisle should never have put leverage or politics over those people that they represent. But the most important thing right now is that we get back to work, making sure the federal government can provide the essential services that people depend on, and that Congress can continue working to pass full-year funding legislation providing responsible federal spending and fund those essential services. Mr. Speaker, we are making significant progress with the inclusion of these 3 appropriation bills, but our work is far from over. I encourage all my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this deal, vote to end this unnecessary shutdown, and help us get back to the business of hardworking Americans across this country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
She's back.
1 minute to the gentlewoman from Minnesota.
Gotta give her credit, man. She's like 80 years old, man. She's got gypsy rings on all 5 fingers each hand, and she got that purple hair.
Donald Trump and Republicans control
I haven't seen the septum
For 42
ring
days,
yet.
Republicans shut it down. Why? Because they refuse to extend tax credits to help millions of Americans afford their health care. And if that wasn't bad enough, President Trump even withheld food assistance during the shutdown. Hunger should never be used as a weapon. The CR continues the Republican health care crisis. The Speaker's already said he won't hold a vote to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits to reduce health care costs for Americans.
That's not true.
Now my constituents
That's
are
not
gonna have
true.
to choose between heating their
Listen,
homes,
that's
feeding
not
their
true.
families,
That's something that
or
was agreed
taking
upon
their
to get to the
children
60
doctor.
votes.
It's a terrible
That you
deal
will
for the
see
American people. Americans deserve
the
an
House
open and transparent
Republicans and
government that
Democrats are
works
supposed to
for
come
them.
together
They
and
deserve access to affordable
thumbs up or
healthcare
thumbs
and
down, but they're supposed to
nutrition for their
discuss these
families.
premiums.
And that's what Democrats are fighting for.
And
I wish
the
President
Senate
and
is supposed to do the
Republicans
exact
would
same
join
thing.
us in this fight and share our priorities. I yield back.
Bills. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, gentleman from Missouri and member of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Alford.
The gentleman is recognized.
Well, thank you, Chairman Cole, for your leadership. Mr. Speaker, in the words of Yogi Berra, this seems like deja vu all over again. 59 days ago, I stood at this very lectern debating the ranking member and a friend of mine over the continuing resolution to keep our government open. On September 19th, we did our work in this body, but Senate Democrats chose to hold America hostage with the Schumer shutdown. Democrats in Congress, including the minority whip, shamefully admitted they were using the misery.
You know, when you look at the House, I think you have the Democrats on the left side, the Republicans on the right, or if you're at the podium, vice versa. But I think they should do a Remember the Titans thing with Coach Boone. I think you mix them up, man. Remember when Boone made offense and the defense
Mr. Speaker,
all mix and match to on the buses, made it racially balanced. I think you should have a situation where Republican sitting, a Democrat, Republican, Democrat. They can't all sit together. They gotta all sit. Every other seat has a Republican or a Democrat sitting in it. They have to mix it up. That would be pretty cool.
The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
That chamber is empty, guys. I would say out of the 435 members that are to vote tonight, look at that. You probably have 50 people in that whole chamber. There's probably the other 380 are gone into D.C. to have a dinner and drinks.
Republicans have created an affordability nightmare, a mass transfer of hard-earned taxpayers' dollars to billionaires. In my district alone, more than 350,000 people are facing skyrocketing healthcare costs or cuts to critical services.
You know what's funny about that is what she's saying. How does that make any sense? Because the premiums haven't been put forth, I don't think, just yet. We don't know. Where's she getting those numbers from?
Costs for working families, cutting off food assistance right before Thanksgiving, and letting Trump spend his holidays pardoning insurrectionists, enriching billionaires, cozying up to dictators, and building himself a new ballroom, all while taking food away from families in need. And now Senate Republicans want to reward themselves with a taxpayer-funded handout. Shameful, shameful, shameful. House Republicans should be here doing their jobs, not making life harder for working families. I urge a no vote.
I don't know where she got any of that information from. You should, guys, it should be on both sides. It should be against the law to just, not to misspeak a fact or to misunderstand, but to actually just sit there and tell something that is 1,000% not even true and you know it. Man, we're all tired of that, aren't we? On both sides.
Suffering for our fellow Americans is so obviously disingenuous. They never vote against clean CRs. Never. For 4 years under Biden, you all didn't reject one clean CR. Chuck Schumer, in 44 years, never rejected a clean CR.
That's a fact.
So, Mr. Speaker, what's it about? They say policy. They put forward a proposal, Mr. Chairman. They said it's about health care for illegals. They repeal work requirements for able-bodied adults. That's a 80-20 issue in this country. They put forward a spending bill of $1.5 trillion. That's twice the discretionary budget. Mr. Chairman, they'd be spending more money than we've ever spent outside of COVID. That's their counter proposal. It's not only disingenuous, it's unserious. So what's it about? It's about politics.
It's about resisting and fighting and undermining Donald Trump. But here's the deal. They're not fighting and resisting Donald Trump. They're undermining the will of the American people that gave Trump the presidency.
I yield the gentleman an additional 15 seconds.
Gentleman is recognized.
They undermined the will of the people who overwhelmingly elected President Trump and gave him the mandate of the America First agenda. So you're not resisting us. You're posturing and placating the radical left. And you are holding back what the American people wanted, and that was a new direction for this country. I yield back.
Members are reminded to please direct their comments only to the chair. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New Jersey, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Mr. Pallant.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want my colleagues to understand that when the Affordable Care Act was adopted, it was adopted for middle-class people who could not afford health insurance. They had no other option. They had nowhere to go. You just would end up without health insurance. I have constituents coming to me now crying because their insurance is going from $500 a month to $1,500 a month. That's an increase of $1,000 a month.
Right, but that's the insurance companies, man.
At the end of
That is the insurance company doing that. Shame on the insurance company. They get away with this. It's just crazy, guys.
Democrats worked for that. Then Trump comes in, the Republicans in with their big ugly bill, and they make cuts to Medicaid, cuts to hospitals and nursing homes, and no funding to extend the ACA tax credits. So what's going to happen? More and more people will have no health insurance. That's the bottom line. They will not have health insurance. And the Republicans don't seem to care. But I want you to know that the Democrats care and will continue to fight for you.
The gentleman yields. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentleman from Guam, my very good friend, Mr. Moylan.
The gentleman is recognized.
I forgot Guam. They don't have electoral college vote, but I guess they have a member.
Guam is home to 3,372 federal employees, more than 43,000 SNAP recipients, and over 9,000 WIC recipients, and more than 20,000 veterans, all of whom have been impacted by this shutdown. If we continue to put politics over our country, my constituents will continue to suffer. Simply put, this gets us back on track, ensures funding for those who need it is in place, and turns the lights back on. This bill ensures that families receive the assistance they need, veterans have access to care, and our island is reimbursed for the sacrifice we made to keep federal programs running during this difficult time. I urge my colleagues to support this bill and to deliver for American people. The time for deliberation is when the government is open and people have the assistance they need. I reserve.
Very well said.
The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves.
Very well
The gentleman
said.
from Connecticut is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Massachusetts, the distinguished ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Neal.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank the gentlelady. Mr. Speaker, the destruction that is taking place in America's healthcare system during these 10 months is unbelievable. They've eviscerated the National Institutes of Health. They've cut back on the Centers for Disease Control. Billions of dollars from Medicaid for a tax cut for the wealthy. Where do you see what's coming to America's hospitals after the next election? It's so contrived they waited until after the election to implement it. 24 million people are likely to lose health insurance if we don't implement these tax credits as suggested. The emergency room is going to be back in full force now because this is where people will go.
Kind of confused by that because I know for a fact that the bill that was passed in July actually has a $50 billion cash fund set aside to kind of alleviate what he's just now talking about. So I'm confused where his argument is really about.
It's $2.4 trillion. In the last tax bill, almost $4 trillion is borrowed for a tax cut for wealthy people. Whatever happened to the fiscal soundness that the Republican Party used to lecture everybody on? And I yield back the balance.
The gentleman yields. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Muser.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank Chairman Cole for his leadership. Mr. Speaker, if this were a library, we would have the fiction side over there and
and the nonfiction side over here. The only thing that's not fiction, however, is their consistent criticism of the healthcare system known as Obamacare that they created. That's what this fight seems to be about. And that's the one end of things that is truthful. Today, Mr. Speaker, after 6 weeks of no pain, lots of pain and no gain, they're going to vote again to keep the government closed. They're going to vote again. They're whipping their votes so they would not be paying federal workers. They won't be funding essential programs like SNAP and undo the chaos at our airports. Okay, I spent the last 43 days in my district talking with these groups, talking with SNAP, talking with Head Start, seeing their pain, realizing it, understanding it. Some of my colleagues did the same, but shockingly, they're still going to vote to keep the government closed and keep this funding from being delivered. It's time to fix the damage the Democrats have caused. With this vote tonight, Republicans will restore SNAP payments. We'll get TSA and air traffic control.
Yield the gentleman an additional 15 seconds.
And you know what, thank you, Chairman. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? Yesterday was Veterans Day. Veterans didn't fight for the red. They didn't fight for the blue. They fought for the red, white, and blue. Maybe tonight we can follow their example. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
Uh-oh.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Del Bene.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill fails to address the fundamental needs of families across our country. Americans have made it crystal clear that affordability is their #1 concern. President Trump and Republicans promised to lower costs on day one, and that's been one big broken promise. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing because Republicans refuse to extend the ACA tax credits, causing healthcare costs to go up for everyone. Over 4 million people will be forced off their coverage next year because it's too expensive. This is on top of soaring prices for food, energy, and housing. It's unacceptable for the wealthiest nation in the world. Republicans who say they support affordable health care should be standing up for
They
their
are running about
constituents
30 minutes behind
rather
right
than
now.
falling
They still have
in
some
line
more
behind
speeches to
President
give you, but as
I'm
it stands, this
fighting
vote was
for
supposed to take place
affordable
about 31
healthcare
minutes
and
ago,
lower
or the voting was supposed to
costs.
start.
The American people deserve better. I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
We have to be running
Thank
out
you
of
very
time
much,
here
Mr. Speaker.
for the
Mr.
chit
Speaker, I
chat.
yield 90 seconds to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. Good.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Throughout this sham and shame of a shutdown, we've heard so many lies from the Democrats. And over the last 45 days, and especially the last 45 minutes, I've heard them say this is an evil bill. Republicans don't care about the disabled. Trump is the worst president in history for children. They've said that Republicans are to blame for the fentanyl crisis. Republicans shouldn't take photos with veterans. January 6th, of course they mentioned that. Republicans are corrupt, and they've said that Republicans are starving kids. What they haven't said is the one thing that this bill does, which is open up the government. Not one Democrat is getting up here saying this bill opens the government. So let me remind them and my colleagues and the American people, this bill opens the government tonight. And the American people have Republicans to thank for ending this shutdown and opening the government. I urge a yes vote. I am proud to vote yes. And I am so disappointed in my Democratic colleagues because for the life of me, throughout my time in the House, I've heard them talk about how wonderful it is to keep the government open and that a shutdown is so bad and can never happen. And tonight they won't even admit that this bill opens the government and this is what we need for this country tonight. So I urge a yes vote and I yield back.
The gentleman yields.
I think no matter what side of the coin you're on, you have to open the government. You got to get the airplanes off the ground. You have to get, some struggling people that do need the government assistance.
Oppose the Republican spending bill that makes health care more expensive for hardworking Americans. While Republicans were on their 7-week-plus vacation, all our constituents were receiving notices of premium increases. A constituent of mine, a lifelong educator, has been told that her premiums will jump from $383 to nearly $1,000.
It's the insurance companies, guys.
Trump and
That's
Republicans
insurance
can find money
companies,
for a
man.
fancy ballroom. They can give tax breaks to billionaires, and they even included
And
millions of
the
dollars in cash payouts
ballroom,
in this bill
that's
for
not being
8
paid by the
Republican
government. That's being
senators.
paid by
If
private
anyone else in government gave
private
themselves
money.
millions in taxpayer money, they would go to prison.
That's private money
But
that's
for
funding
Americans trying to afford healthcare,
the ballroom. You see some of the things they're throwing out here. Both sides are. They need to vote to open the government, vote to get the airlines back up and running, get the air traffic controllers back in their jobs. A lot of this money, guys, that's being held up too, but they're not even discussing this. A lot of the money that's being held up is for schools, for bridges being burned, clean water projects in some of the cities, some of the largest cities in the country, but also some small rural communities too. It's the air, obviously the air traffic controllers, that's huge. The SNAP benefits, that's huge. Getting the government employees back, getting their paychecks back in the bank is very important. But they're not talking about these smaller communities that are not getting money for bridges and water projects and
completely unpaid. We have our
yeah, it's
air
crazy.
traffic controllers. Most of us flew here today or yesterday or in recent days. They're keeping the skies as safe as they can, but they haven't gotten paid. We're in this Capitol building. We're under the protection of the Capitol Police. They do a splendid job. They keep doing their job. They haven't been paid. We have people that are in desperate need of some of the services that this government has promised to give them. SNAP and WIC, that's at risk unless we pass this legislation tonight.
Facts.
So we can have all these debates about all these other issues. As a matter of fact, my friend the Speaker, his counterpart in the United States Senate, the Majority Leader, and the President said, when you open the government, we'll be happy to talk to you about some of these issues. But you're not going to shut down the government, punish the American people, put people's lives at risk, and think we're going to sit down and negotiate with you under those circumstances. That is not going to happen. We told you 43 days ago, from bitter experience, government shutdowns don't work. They never achieve the objective that you announced. And guess what? You haven't achieved that objective yet, and you're not going to. We did the same thing twice, so I'm not saying that we've got clean hands over here. You guys did it on DACA, didn't work here, not going to work here. Only people that have suffered have been the American people, the people that we're all here to serve. So let's keep the focus on getting the government back open. I would also add, and I appreciate this very much, there have been robust discussions back and forth, and we have 3 appropriations bills attached to this. They're appropriations bills that do important things. The Ag bill will make sure that people that rely on WIC and SNAP don't have to worry about another government shutdown between now and September 30th of next year. The Ledge Branch bill will make sure that the Capitol Police and everybody else at staff that allow this chamber to function don't have to worry about not getting paid until September 30th of next year. And obviously, military construction and, more importantly, veterans rely on benefits commitments we have made. Passage of this bill makes sure that those commitments will be fulfilled between now and September 30th next year. And we buy the time to sit down and rationally and responsibly negotiate other appropriations bills that we can bring, I hope, in a bipartisan basis to this floor to keep the government open. So I would just ask my friends to reflect on that. I hope some of you feel the weight of that decision. I know you do. And I hope you can vote to keep the government open. There's no excuse to shut it down. The United States Senate operated to keep it open in a bipartisan fashion. Now, it took them a long time to do it, but they got there. Let's not follow that example. Let's follow when they finally got the job done, they sent us a product. It's not a perfect product. It's got some things in it I don't like, but frankly, if we kept the government open, we would have never been in this situation in the first place. So I would just ask my friends to remember their constituents. I know they think about them. I know they're serious about the points they make. Reopen the government, raise your issues. Let's see if we can come to a negotiated settlement. But let's not punish the American people. A no vote on this, again, means soldiers and military families don't get paid. A no vote means that people in need of SNAP and WIC might not get it. A no vote means the people that allow us to come here and debate and work won't get paid either. I can go down the list, of course. It's pretty simple. This is a vote about two things. Opening the government of the United States, which you willfully tried to shut down, fortunately did not succeed in that in this chamber, but some of your colleagues, using arcane Senate rules, did manage to do it, but finally came to their senses. You ought to pay attention to those people. They said, enough is enough. Let's reopen the government. I would urge my colleagues to do that today, and I hope it's done in a bipartisan way. With that, I reserve the balance of my time, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves, and members are reminded to direct their remarks only to the chair. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from Massachusetts, the distinguished Democratic whip, Ms. Clark.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you.